Bismillah Rahman Rahim. This is subject of child development. Its code is CDU 141, and now we are going to start the lecture number 14, and we have topic of measurement of intelligence. The outlines of the lectures are introduction about the main topic, then concept of mental age, then intelligence quotient, and then distribution of IQ level. In introduction about the main topic, first of all, we see that what is intelligence? Intelligence is the ability to think, to learn from experience, to solve problems, and to adapt to new situations. Intelligence is not a thing, it's only an idea, an abstraction. The intelligence quotient is a measure of intelligence that is adjusted for age. The Bachelor Adult Intelligence Scale is the most widely used IQ test for adults. We can also define it that the ability to learn or understand or to deal with the new or trying situations. So reasons also the skilled use of reasons and the ability to apply the knowledge to manipulate one's environment or to think abstractly as measured by objective criteria. Its measurement is not possible in the same way as we measure a piece of cloth or temperature of our body. Intelligence is the ability basically to learn, and we can say that the ability to learn or understand or to deal with the new or trying situations. Reasons also the skilled use of reasons and the ability to apply knowledge to manipulate one's environment or to think abstractly as measured by objective criteria. So, we measure intelligence of an individual with the help of intelligence test. And if we take the example of intelligence, then the definition of intelligence is the ability to retain knowledge, use reasoning to solve problems, or have some above average brain power. An example of intelligence is someone obtaining their PhD and so on. An example of intelligence is someone knowing that Dover is the capital of Delaware. The first attempt to measure intelligence was made by Alfred B.Ed with the help of his friend Simon. The scale they made is known as Binet-Simon scales. In the early 1900s, the French psychologist Alfred Binet, who born in 1857 and died in 1914, and his colleague Henry Simon, and he born in 1872 and died in 1961, began working in Paris to develop a measure that would differentiate students who were expected to be better learners from students who are expected to be slower learners. The goal was to help teachers better educate them or these two groups of students. So Binet and Simon developed what most psychologists today regard as the first intelligence test. It consisted of a wide variety of questions that include the ability to name objects, define words, draw pictures, complete sentences, compare items, and construct sentences. Binet observed that as children advance in age, the difficulty level of the tasks they can perform also increases. Binet and Simons believed that the questions they asked their students, even though they were on the surface dissimilar, all assessed the basic abilities to understand reasons and make judgments. And it turned out that the correlations among these different types of measures were in fact all positive. So students who got one item correct were more likely to also get other items correct, even though the questions themselves were very difficult. B.Ed convinced the idea of mental age to measure intelligence. Tests were made for different age levels. If the test was passed by 60 to 90% of the children of the given age, so B.Ed accepted it for that age level. A child who successfully performs all the tasks acceptable for the 5-year-old child is taken to have the mental age of 5, whatever his chronological age may be. Remember that intelligence has been defined in many ways, like the capacity for logic, understanding, self-awareness, learning, emotional, knowledge, reasoning, planning, creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. So, more generally, it can be described as the ability to perceive or infer information and to retain it as knowledge to be applied towards adoptive behaviors within an environment or context. So, intelligence is the most often studied in humans, but also has been observed in both non-human animals and in plants. So, intelligence in machines is also called artificial intelligence, which is commonly implemented in computer systems using programs and sometimes specialized hardware. Measurement of intelligence in terms of mental age raised many problems. To make the comparisons easy, Stern devised the concept of intelligence quotient, popularly known as IQ. The intelligence quotient is an index of the child's relative level of brightness as compared with the other children of his age. So IQ is the ratio between the mental age and the chronological age. It is obtained by dividing the mental age. The word intelligence basically derives from the Latin noun intelligentia or intellectus, which in turn stem from the verb intelligere, to comprehend or perceive. In the Middle Ages, the word intellectus became the scholarly technical term for understanding and a translation for the Greek philosopher term noun. So this term, however, was strongly liked to be the metaphysical and cosmological theories of technological scholasticism, including theories of immortality of the soul and the concept of active intellect. So that is also known as the active intelligence. So this approach to the study of nature was strongly rejected by the early modern philosophers such as Francis Bacon, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and David Hume. So all of whom preferred understanding in place of intellectus or intelligence in their English philosophical works. So Hobbes, for example, in this Latin de corpore used intellectus intelligit, translated in English version as the understanding, as the typical example of logical absurdity. So intelligence has therefore become less common in English language. By the chronological age and multiplied by 100. Remember that the definition of intelligence is controversial. Some groups of psychologists have suggested that different definitions, like from mainstream science on intelligence and Ops statement in the Wall Street Journal signed by the 52 researchers out of 131 total invited to sign. A very general mental capability that, among other things, involve the ability to reason, plan, solve problems, think abstractly, comprehend complex ideas, learn quickly, and learn from experience. So it is not merely book learning, a narrow academic skill or task taking smarts. Rather, it reflects a broader and deeper capability for comprehending our surroundings. We can find out the chronological age by multiplying 100. IQ is equal to mental age divided by chronological age multiplied by 100. Here we define that what is meant by mental age. Intelligence test scores expressed as the chronological age for which a given level of performance is average or typical. An individual's mental age is then divided by his chronological age and multiplied by 100, yielding an intelligence quotient. So, how can we calculate mental age? So, from this formula, where MA means is your mental age and CA means your chronological age. If your chronological age is 10 and your IQ score is 120, then formula would read 120 is equal to x divided by 10 and 200. So where x is your mental age. So mental age is the concept related to intelligence. It looks as how a specific individual as a specific age performs intellectually compared to average intellectual performance for what individual's actual chronological age, that is the time elapsed since birth. The intellectual performance is based on performance in test and live assessment by the psychologist. The score achieved by the intellectual is compared to the median average score at various ages and mental age, like we can say X. This is derived that such that the individual scores equates the average score at age X. So, however, mental age depends on what kind of intelligence is measured. For instance, a child intellectual age can be average for their actual age, but the same child emotional intelligence can be immature for their physical age. Psychologists often remark that girls are more emotionally mature than boys as at around the age of puberty. Also, a 6-year-old child intellectually gifted in Piaget terms can remain a 3-year-old child in terms of emotional maturity. So, mental age can be considered a controversial concept. In early theories, during much of the 19th century, theories of intelligence focused on measuring the size of human skulls. Anthropologists, well known for their attempts to correlate cranial size and capacity with intellectual potential, were Samuel Morton and Paul Baruch. So, the modern theories of intelligence began to emerge along with experimental psychology. So, this is when much of the psychology was moving from philosophical to more biological and medical sciences bias. In 1890, James Cattell published what some considers the first mental test. So Cattell was more focused on heredity rather than environment. So this spurs much of the debate about the nature of intelligence. So mental age was first defined by the French psychologist Alfred Binet. So he introduced the intelligence test in 1905 with the assistance of Theodore Simon. So Binet's experiments on French school children laid the framework for the future experiments into the mind throughout the 20th century. So he created an experiment that was designed as a test to be completed quickly and was taken by children of various ages. So in general, of course, older children performed better on these tests than younger ones. So however, the younger children who had exceeded the average of their age group were said to have a higher mental age, and those who performed below that average were deemed to have a lower mental age. So Binet theory suggested that while mental age was a useful indicator and it was by no means fixed permanently, and individual growth that was individual, while mental age was a useful indicator, and it was no mean fixed permanently, and individual growth or decline could be attributed to changes in teaching method and experiences. So if we discuss the B.Ed, now there is a distribution of IQ that Garrett has classified people according to their IQ. Now see that if IQ is 140 and above, so those persons are being considered very superior, means gifted students, and these are overall 1.5% people are there. And if the persons have IQ from 120 to 139, then he is superior. And if the IQ of the person is from 110 to 119, then that person is being considered as a bright. If IQ of the person is from 90 to 109, then he or she is considered as average or normal, and 48% or approximately are there. If IQ remains between 80 to 89, so that person is being called dull or backward. And if the person has IQ from 70 to 79, then he or she is very dull, and that is on borderline. And if the IQ is from 0 to 69, it means that he is a feeble-minded, mentally retarded person. IQ, this is short for intelligence quotient, and this is measure of person's reasoning ability. In short, it is supposed to gauge how well someone can use information and logic to answer questions or make predictions. IQ tests begin to assess this by measuring short and long-term memory. An intelligence quotient is a total score derived from the set of standardized tests or subset designed to assess human intelligence. The abbreviation IQ was coined by the psychologist William Stern for the German term intelligence quotient. So his term was for the scoring method of intelligence test at University of Breslau. He advocated in 1912 in his book. Historically, IQ was a score obtained by dividing a person's mental age score and obtained by administering an intelligence test. So by the person chronological age, both expressed in terms of years and months. So the resulting fraction is multiplied by 100 to obtain the IQ score, and for modern IQ test, the median raw score of the norming sample is defined as IQ. So 100 and scores each standardized deviation up or down are defined as 15 IQ points greater or less. So approximately 2/3 of the population scores are between IQ 85 and IQ 115. So about 2.5% of the population scores above 130 and 2.5% below 70. So scores from intelligence tests are estimates of intelligence, unlike for example distance and mass. A concrete measure of intelligence cannot be achieved given an abstract nature of the concept of intelligence. So IQ scores have been shown to be associated with such factors as morbidity and mortality, parental social status, and to substantial degree biological parental IQ, while the heritability of IQ has been investigated for nearly a century. So there is a still debate about the significance of heritability estimates and the mechanism of inheritance. IQ scale meaning, we can define it that About 2% of the population has an IQ score lower than 69, and such a low IQ scores often is hard to measure using a regular intelligence test. And this is because you need a lot of reference requirements to determine the specific score reliability, as very high and very low IQ scores simply do not occur often, and it is hard to form such a reference group. So this is all about this lecture. Take care. Allah Hafiz.